So if you're maybe newer to PPC or you just want to double check if you have all the right people in your feed, so to speak, this is a good place to start.
Today, we're going to go through a couple of different things. We're going to go through the PPC software, so it runs through that, what that resource looks like. We're going to go through PPC survey, and then we're probably going to spend most of our time on MCPs, or Google Ads MCP, which is a really cool automation piece. Did you want to start with
maybe the survey? Yeah, that's cool. Right there, right? So as you said in introduction, most of the time, before people get the wrong impression, I spend, especially our customers, I spend on TrueClicks. Don't worry, this is where 95% of my efforts go to. But over the years, we developed a few side projects, sometimes on our own, sometimes with partners. PPC Survey is definitely the one where we do a lot of with partners, just to kind of build a community or build some additional free resources where it always starts with, why isn't this already out there? And I will share my screen in a minute so people, for the ones watching on YouTube, they can see it. For the ones listening, they can easily find the show notes, some links, and check it out when they're back at their computer. And I would definitely do that. I mean, my goal today is to basically the listeners to give them 3 new bookmarks in their browser, somewhere in their handy resources for PPC, and talk a bit about those bookmarks. They're free, they're useful, and and they're created because I felt, and my partners felt, there was a need for that because it didn't really exist. So let's start with PPC Survey, which is actually two things into one. And I'll give a short background story, and then just show you around if you're watching. Otherwise, you can just go to ppcsurvey.com soon enough. Okay, let me start sharing.
And just as you bring it up, you were saying just before you came on that you used to be on this list.
Yes, it's easier. Yeah, go. Rub it in. So this, as I said, I made a joke when publishing this on LinkedIn a couple of months ago that according to our ranking methodology, I would now be placed 75th. We have a top 50, so I'm not in the top 50, but
it's top 50.
Yeah, well, we have two lists. So let me tell you a bit about the background. So it's now on the screen, ppcsurvey.com. As the name says of the domain, it's mainly a survey. We've done it a couple of times now. So pretty long survey for PPC professionals, just, finding out their challenges, their preferences, what tools they use, et cetera, et cetera. And if you go there, there's still the report of early 2024. We didn't publish a 2025 report yet, maybe a bit more of that later. But there's still the 2024 report that's like 60 pages, super interesting report to read. And so you get like 1,100 PPC people's opinions kind of into one report. So that's how it started. And this was, the idea was like, there've been some surveys here and there in the PPC community over the years, but our ambition here was to make it bigger than ever and recurring. And again, we don't do this alone, right? So this is, I was the initiator of this, but we have some partners here on screen like Data Feed Watch, Got Your Ad for the Ad Leak, HeroConf joined later on. Optimizer, basically a competitor of ours, but we work together on this project, which is cool. Product Hero, another Dutch company, smack right with Mike Ryan there. So I do another Dutch company and ourselves. And they're but very internationally focused. So because together we can reach more people to fill in this survey. Then I think the second time we did it, kind of PPC Hero used the blog, right, by Hannapin, used to do that top 25 list of most influential PPC experts. And they were acquired by Brain Labs, and then they kind of stopped doing that. Maybe it wasn't Brain Labs' priority to do that kind of stuff. So I actually reached, and then I thought, well, that would make a lot of sense to make it part of the survey, right? We're already asking PPC professionals about their preferences and their challenges. Might as well ask them about their favorite PPC experts and basically vote on them and make that top 25, or we actually expand to top 50, part of this project. So before just doing it, I reached out to Daniel Gilbert, CEO for Brain Labs. I've checked if they were still... they were planning to reintroduce it, or if it's cool if we did it. So back then he said, well, go ahead, to do this. And we started, making that list, and people just like lists. That's just the thing. And so what we do, and what we did a couple of things differently. I don't want to bash necessarily how it was done in the past, but I think how it was done in the past was a bit easier to gain. So, if you had a lot of friends, so to speak, or bots or whatever, you could get a lot of votes. We made it really hard, basically impossible to just buy votes or fake votes or whatever. It's part of the survey. It's only at the end of the survey, so you have to go through the whole survey before you can vote. And we will actually look also manually through the results if there are any crazy stuff like multiple IP addresses or just similar IP address. Well, won't bore you with all details, but we go very, very thoroughly to making sure like you didn't ask 100 friends to vote for you, even if they don't know nothing about PPC. And then there's a whole another method. And then in the end, the methodology is interesting there, where the vote is just 20% in the end of the ranking. So there's quite an exercise here where we ask the nominees, so to speak, to share some of this data with us, but we also look it up ourselves. So looking at speaking engagements. So for the ones that are wondering, like, how do I get on this list? Well, you need a couple of votes. You need at least 10 votes. That's how I put the threshold. So you need at least 10 real people to vote for you. And the highest ones are like to have 200 plus votes. So that's kind of the range that we're looking at. But then you need much more. Right. And not everyone does everything. Well, the top 3 or 4 of this list usually does a bit of everything. So that's how you get really to the total top of the list, which is a lot of work. That's basically what we're also trying to reward here, right? People that spend a lot of time next to their regular job on sharing their knowledge, sharing their insights, because this is all now usually not their primary job. This is also one thing we did with this list is people that work for Google or for search engine land, however great they are, or for Microsoft, they're not included because it's basically their job, right? To be influential. It's like kind of the spokesperson or like let's say the Jimmy Marvins of this world or whatever. They're great. You should follow them. They're highly influential, but it's their job, right? Well, most other people, they actually usually run an agency or a software company, and then they do all that stuff and they write books and do podcasts and all that stuff and speak on stage next to that job. And that's the kind of the thing we want to reward here. So yeah, go to that side, you will find all the background. So I think the most useful part here is maybe the top 50 is fun, right? We will see 2 top 50s, but this is the most recent one. We also honored Mark Irvine here, who passed away a year ago. But here you will find the actual list. That's a nice infographic with the list here. We need quite a few Dutchies here. But the top 100 shortlist is actually maybe more useful because there are 2 things you can do with this. And I think that most people is just who can I follow and what kind of resources did they create over time, right? So on this page, you have the top 100. You can click on their name that will just bring you straight to their LinkedIn profile. You can start following there. You can look at their website. You can, if they have YouTube or podcasts, you can just click on those icons and you go straight to their YouTube or podcast and all those things. If they have a newsletter, you can straight go to their newsletter. I think, you can even go more to the right here. They have a course. I mean, everything they do is kind of nicely in sort of database view alphabetically. So if you're maybe newer to PPC or you just want to double check if you have all the right people in your feed, so to speak, this is a good place to start. And if you want to be on the list, then I would look at the ranking methodology and just start being out there. And if you think you should be in top 100, we get these emails sometimes. You can send an email. Maybe we try to be fully aware of who's out there doing stuff. Usually it starts with LinkedIn, start with people that gain visibility on LinkedIn, and then they get into the top 100. The tough part is now if someone tells us, oh, this person should be in the top 100, and they're right, it means someone else needs to go. So that is, we're not going to make it 101, right? So we have to really be thinking, okay, who is kind of, and that's tough. But it happened over the years a few times. But I think those are next year. So what's coming up here, Q4, probably October, November, we're going to start a new survey. Hopefully a lot of people, we had like 1,100 something people filling in, again, top 50 and everything. So definitely be on the lookout for that. But for now, it's just a handy bookmark and some people you can follow basically.
Yeah, super great resource. I get asked quite a lot by either people who are fairly new to the industry or coming in, like, what's a great place to stay on top of industry developments and news. And it's like, well, places like this just list all the people you should follow, even if it's just a top 10, 15, because many people on here are very active on LinkedIn, sharing thought pieces, news, etc. So yeah, great resource.
Yeah. And it wasn't out there yet, so that's basically why we created it.